Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is September 1st, 2020, and we have a show for you that's a little bit of domestic, a little bit of import, and had the Aoshima spot runs for October to tell you about. But as we were about to go to print this morning, so to speak, Revel blew the doors off the entire plans by posting these pictures. So what you're looking at here is a 1971 Ford Mustang Boss 351. It is not a barn find. It is not a dilapidated car. That is the anti-glare dust that they would put onto a car when you are scanning it with a LiDAR system for 3D scanning. That's what all those little doohickeys are stuck to the car. They're the reference points for the scanner, so it knows how to connect the lines, so to speak, to form your basic shape, cage shape, if you will, of the car. And yeah, so this was announced this morning as a all new from the ground up 1/25th scale tool from Revel USA. Hopefully, among other things, this will put to bed the idea that Revel is bankrupt, that Revel is no longer in business, that Revel is no longer going to produce, American cars, despite the fact that obviously they've put out modified 69 Mustang and the 68 Chevelle and the 69 Chevelle, and modified the 57 Ford to accept the gas or station wagon parts, and updated the tooling to the sprint car, and so on and so forth. This is the final proof, so to speak, of the idea that they are indeed going to be producing new tool kits here in the United States. This is something that, while it may have been on the want list, as it were, for a long time internally in Revel, a project they wanted to do, it is something that was not actually on the docket, uh, in progress, so to speak, when Habaco went bankrupt and Revel closed down. So again, this answers a long-standing question. If we knew Revel USA was back, and we knew that they were going to go ahead with the projects that were currently in progress, that's what the 68, 69 Chevelle tool is, obviously. It's something that was done, actually before the bankruptcy was even filed. So people at the Chicago Model Show, or Chicago Model Club rather, that saw a lot of Revel's coming attractions before anyone else did, confirmed that the test shots for the 68 were presented before the bankruptcy was filed. So that was a matter of just sort of pouring plastic into the molds, finalizing things, buying the boxes and the packaging, and producing the kits. This is legitimately something that has not been, planned up or was in progress already. So yes, it answers that question of whether or not we're going to what was going to be the first from scratch project, and it's going to be this. And for me personally, I am not the hugest, most biggest Mustang fan or 1970s, early 1970s car fan in general. However, this is something I feel that has been a not a missing kit, but a much maligned and overlooked subject matter. Your two Mustangs of this sort of late first gen body style were the AMT Annual, which was turned into the sort of SCCA racer race car that was just reissued not too terribly long ago, but around two, is the Warren Taupe race car. And then you have the MPC Annual, which was released all the way out to 1973 and then backdated to 1971. And in the process, it niftily is not correct for any year of all three of those years, 71, 72, 73. There's never really been an accurate Boss 351 in the first place. And so, yeah, this would be great. You Boss 351, you could do just a regular Mustang. You could do one with a 429 in it. There's a number of just options of cars, a Mach 1, and also the fact that those, you could do a 73 with the, the 5 mile an hour bumpers and the Endura frames that go around it to try to make the 5 mile an hour bumpers not stick out quite so bad as they did on some other cars in that era when they mandated those big old bumpers for the cars. So yeah, I was happy with it. I mean, the MPC kit is a disaster. In the sense of you can build something out of it if you want to spend a lot of time with it, but it is certainly something that you have to spend a lot of time with just to have anything. You can put it this way. Let me frame it this way. Uh, Competent builder can make a model kit out of it. It's going to take a lot of work to make it accurate to something because of how it's part of one, part of another. You're gonna need a resin hood. You're gonna need some parts. It's gonna be a hot minute before you can make that into an accurate 71 or 73 Mustang. Anybody can build it out of the box and assemble it. It's not that it can't be built. It's just as an accurate replica of something, gonna be, again, a hot minute while you get parts and perhaps original parts, box of bucks. You maybe have something in your parts box, and then like I said, you're gonna probably need a resin hood because the hood doesn't really replicate, especially not a 71. And now Round 2 is going to put that same model kit out here, not too terribly long, as a Diamonds Are Forever 007 tied in reissue, probably before the end of 2020. So this kit, Revel's new kit, you're looking at sometime in 2021. So how bad do you want one of these, and how long are you willing to wait? I'm going to say that probably by now, unless you're like new to the hobby altogether, or you're returning from a long hiatus, you probably have built one of the NPC annual kits, and you've satisfied that need for now in terms of that specific model kit. Now, the fun aspect of this was that after it was posted, it quickly got several hundred comments. A good solid 50% or more were very not positive, very rude, very how dare you waste plastic on something like this? What a stupid subject. Oh, great, just what we need, more Mustangs, and so on and so forth. And it was up to somewhere in the neighborhood of about 500 comments by this evening, by Monday night, and the post got taken down. So if you're looking for it right now, it doesn't exist. And I can confirm that the project hasn't been canceled. It wasn't like everybody negative Nancy'd it off of the internet. But it was a very interesting juxtaposition crossroads of two problems I see online, right? So you have the fake praise people, which are, you should just be happy that Revell exists. You should just be happy that they're making model kits. Doesn't matter what they produce, how it looks, what it does. You should just shut up and take the model kits they give you and be happy about it, which is not a realistic sentiment. I'm sorry, nobody, well, I guess there's some people that probably do, but nobody realistically settles like that, right? I'm assuming that you don't just settle for how your kids behave, regardless as to how they act. You didn't settle for the first girl that you found that you decided to get married to. You didn't settle on the way your house looks. You didn't settle on the car you drive. You picked, choose, planned, plotted, saved, and did and whatnot. The other opposite end of that, which we saw a whole bunch of in this topic, was the hot take screw you sentiment of, you didn't make what I want, so F everybody, and this is just a huge travesty. I will point out to you that the MPC and the AMT kit, the AMT kit really doesn't count because you can't build stock. The MPC kit is from 1971. It's 49 years old now. This is a very weird thing I see mostly car modelers do, where you have a subject brought up and refreshed, if you will, by a model company, and there's a small, tiny, but yes, I know that even the hobby cat is upset about this. A small, very vocal part of the hobby that seems to insist that you can never make anything better than it used to be. You just have to make new stuff, regardless. Right now, I don't see those same people complaining about the 68 and 69 Chevelle that replace a similarly, situated AMT tool where it was a 68, then it was a 69, then it was took back to a 68, and then it was back to a 69, and back and forth until the car doesn't accurately represent either year. Nobody's complaining about that. Everybody, I mean, some people did when it was announced, oh, we need this for blah blah blah, and then they got one, they built one, and they were like, oh yeah, AMT who, what, oh gee, I can't remember what I was talking about there. And that's going to be the same thing with this Mustang kit when it comes out. You're going to have a whole bunch of people like realize that, holy crap, that kit was 49 years old and it was bad when it came out because of the tooling, technology that existed in 1971, and the fact that it hasn't been done any favors in the last 49 years since then. I posted, it's gone, can't see it now, but I posted in that thread. You have to understand that I mean, you don't have to understand. You can just willfully be ignorant, but you have to understand that a new tool model kit these days has to have somewhere between 3 to 5 subjects very closely related to one another that can be issued from the same tooling, or else it's not really a viable project. Unless it's just, I don't know, some holy grail car, one-to-one car that I don't know exists that everyone would buy a model kit of. You look at like Mobius is a very good example as a company making new tool kits that didn't have a tooling catalog to fall back on. They don't have anything they can reissue from the past, like Round Two or like Revel. The Hudsons, Jesus, without even going into the 54 Hudsons, there's 7 versions of the 51, 52 Hudsons, and then you have the 54 Hudsons, and then you have the drag car. There's like 9 or 10 model kits off that one tool. The Ford F Series, you had 5 of the original kits, 5 of these new 65, 66 kits, and then there's a 67 service bed in there. So there's 11 model kits off of that tooling. That is how you, my friends, you make a profitable model kit tool in the modern day. There are a number of the suggestions that were made that I'm not even going to say like were bad ideas in the sense of I would buy one, but what are my other options with it? You can't just say, we'll make a drag car or make a NASCAR car out of everything, because that doesn't work that way. Just because you might put, a blown Hemi into a 75 Chevelle doesn't mean anyone else would. And so it's, a lot of the cars, even when you look at something like the Colonnade era of GM body styles, those cars are pretty different car to car to car between the Chevelle and the Cutlass and the Regal and everything else. It's like not, those cars don't really, are from a time that a lot of people like to brag. The cars all look different. They're all basically the same body shape, but there's enough differences there that it would be very difficult to create a unified platform that doesn't have, 3 or 4 actual whole body tools. Yes, it's half the expense, 2/3 of the expense of a model kit tool is the chassis, the interior, the running gear, and all stuff like that. But the big, most expensive thing at one time is that piece of tooling that casts the body itself. And if you have to basically replace it 4 times to make 4 different model kits, that's not really, oh, there's 4 subjects you could make off the same chassis. That's great, but it's still too expensive, especially for a niche kind of thing. So I don't know. Where the line is there between being grateful that they're doing something and being fake grateful that they did something, but I just I was kind of a little taken aback at how bad the takes were, if you will, with people just being like utterly disgusted. Some people utterly disgusted that they were doing a new tool Mustang when we had a perfectly good 49-year-old one. You do not see this problem with military modelers. When you might see when they, hey, this summer it's gonna be nothing but Panther tanks. People go, oh god, another Panther. But you know what? They go buy the new Panther tanks because, oh look, it's a new turret, it's a new track system, it's got an engine, it's got a full interior, whatever the case may be, whatever the next best greatest thing is right now. Full interiors are sort of the tour de force of armor kits right now. We don't do that here in the car community for some reason. We get a kit issued by the car community at any point in time in life, and getting another one is just an insult to everyone's sensibilities, and there's so many other things that they could have made. Let me explain to you. Any single-use model kit is going to look like a lot like a Belkits kit. Not in quality, because Belkits is kind of around the edges sometimes with some of their soft engraving, but it's going to cost that much. If you haven't priced a Belkits kit because you're not into rally kits and you just tune out when I say import cars, those cost $62. Are you going to pay $62 for a Colonnade GM? Are you really? Are you really going to pay that much? Because my guess would be you might personally, but the sort of the general populace that makes up what sells model kits, the Hobby Lobby casual weekend builders, which I don't mean to disparage anybody who thinks that describes them necessarily, but they sell more model kits to that, the other people than they do to the 1% of people who watch this show every week kind of thing, obviously. So, I mean, there are certain subject matters that, yes, I would pay $62 because I pay $62 for Belkits kits. So I don't have that fear of that price. But if you put a regular frontline Revel kit at that kind of price, I do not want to be standing there when you do that, because people will lose their ever-loving minds, and you know I'm right. So let's talk about those October spot runs from Aoshima, shall we? So again, these are just completely, totally just restocking the shelves. This is going to do this completely until it fills up the Aoshima column for the month of October, because this is going to be the big push before Christmas. So restocks are going to be the 72 rather Celica 1600 GT, the 2003 Crown Athlete Royal, the 2007 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 C West, the 95 Hilux New Old School, the Brian James Transport Trailer. Now it has been a hot minute since that was reissued last. That's the British transport trailer that got done. I want to say it's probably 6 years ago now, but it's been a little while since it saw its last release. Reissue of the Liberty Walk Charsuka Works C10 Skyline, reissue of the 2011 Aventador and its PE parts, reissue of the 99 Diablo GT, reissue of the 09 Murcielago SV, and a reissue of the 2012 Lamborghini Aventador Roadster, or technically is it a Spider or a Roadster? It's a Roadster. All right, it's right, right there. Clearly read Roadster. So that's that. Let's go to kit releases, shall we? Sure. So we got two domestic kits this week, I believe. I'm trying to find where I am in my pictures here. Yep. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. So your domestic releases are two, as I mentioned. One's round two, and that is this. It is the 1970 Camaro Z28 full bumper. So this is the newly front core retool Z28. As you look at the box art here, the way the kit breaks is that character line that you see sort of run between the headlights and the grille, and the area sort of below the bumper, that sort of just lower than the front fascia piece. With the way the tool was constructed back in the 1990s, I think it was 2000 actually when this kit came out originally, as the split bumper Camaro. That piece is right there. That little front piece is a separate piece, and what they did was create a new piece within the tool to stamp out this full front bumper part, if you will. They did not modify it permanently. That is a separate insert piece that goes into the overall four-piece body tool. And so they will be able to reissue the split bumper. They will be able to reissue the Baldwin Motion. So do not fear. Those kits are not gone forever or permanently changed. In addition to retooling that little piece of the body, obviously you have a new grille, a new front bumper, new turn signal, I believe there's also new headlights with this, because the one thing they found with this kit was when they went to retool it, they scanned the front end of a 70.5 Camaro full bumper, and then they went back and tried to put that into the tool from 2000 and found out that the headlights not only are not exactly as far apart as they should be equilaterally, one is closer to the hood than the other, they're also not the same length if you look at it from above. One's a little longer than the other. This would have been tooling that was done before CAD and CAM came into effect. There's no computer files that they could go back and sort of modify the body tooling to accept it, so they had to basically create a piece of tooling, put it in there, find out that it did not fit because the body wasn't correct from the people who made it 20 years ago, and then go back and actually recreate one that is wrong but still looks correct and tool that into the body. So it's kind of a weird thing, but it got us this, and this is something I think was probably planned. If you look at the way that body was tooled with that front piece sort of being separate, this was something they wanted to do back in the day, just never quite got around to it before Racing Champions and sort of the disaster of the American hobby in the mid to late 2000s. So that is out there for all you folks. Definitely something that I know a lot of people were looking forward to and had wanted for a while. And the other domestic kit release this week is this from the folks over at Mobius. It is the 1966 F100 Custom Cab 4x4. Now, this box art has gotten a lot of stink because it's a two-wheel drive pickup from a 1966 Ford ad on the box. In addition to apparently 4x4s not really being painted in this particular color, this particular two-tone color combination. It's obviously a two-wheel drive pickup truck on the box here. So this does ride a little bit higher than what you're seeing on the box art at the correct 4x4 height for 1966. But I would say this is more preferable and underselling the box contents compared to the 1970 Ford, which had that F-250 highbore in the front, which clearly was not what came in the box at all. So You know, you can buy obviously the Fireball parts to turn your 70 into an F250 Highboy. I may recall I purchased those parts. That's what I plan to do with my 1970. This I'm gonna probably leave at the factory 4x4 ride height and just roll with it. But this is pretty much the last of the 65-66 kits that were known to exist. This would be kit number 5 out of this series. You have the long bed, the short bed, the surface bed, the 4x4, and then you have that step side or bump side bed. So that would be that, and we'll see where Mobius goes from there in terms of you know, new tools, reissues, and whatnot. Basically, they have one more thing that we know about, that being that flatbed 48-foot flatbed trailer, and then that's it. We're just at the end of Mobius as far as the information goes. So now we're going to hop overseas to Japan. There are a couple of releases this week, and then we're going to make a quick stop in Europe. You know what? Let's take a quick stop in Europe first. Normally, don't go over Revel of Germany's reissues all that much because they tend to be reboxes of our kits that we do here in the United States, or they're reboxes of odd scaled Revel kits like that 1/16 scale Porsche 928. But we want to mention this 1962 Shelby Cobra 289. In 1/25th scale. You notice 1/25th scale. You're like, what? A Revel 1/25th scale kit? I don't remember that because the Revel Cobra is a 1/24 scale kit from Monogram, right? What is this? Is this? So I wanted to cover this because of the fact that I've seen a lot of people say that this is the AMT kit, which it is also not. This kit was originally tooled up back in 1985, for the best that I can figure out, by a company called Sunny, which was a Japanese kit manufacturer back in the day. They don't exist anymore. They got absorbed into like Micro Ace and Academy. I believe Academy probably still has this tooling. They haven't released it very recently, but I believe they probably still have it. It was, I think, Academy most recently reissued it in the 1990s, I want to say. May have done it since then. I didn't dig too terribly deep into it, but this does not exactly make an accurate 289. It doesn't make an accurate 429. It doesn't make really an accurate Cobra of any sort. Now, it's a perfectly serviceable model if you don't really care about body proportions and lines and all that stuff, because there are people who spend their entire lives knowing everything there is to know about Cobras, and they can tell you everything is wrong with this, and I can't be bothered to write all of that down because I just don't care. It's a model kit. So long as it looks like a Cobra when you're done, I guess. You know, I know that's sort of punting on accuracy at the same time, but knowing where this kit comes from in terms of being like 4th tier Japanese manufacturer from the mid 1980s, don't expect this to be, you know, like super duper accurate, because it's not. It is full detail. I believe from the best of what it looks like it's cribbed from the AMT kit, in the sense of like they use that as sort of the design theory and basis behind their tooling, but it's not actually a rerun of the AMT tooling. It isn't being sent to Revel. It didn't get sold to Revel. It certainly didn't get sent to Japan in 1985. So there is that, and then the Japanese stuff. One reissue from Aoshima, straight reissue, this 91 Toyota Aristo. So that's back out. And then reissue from Hasegawa, the 240Z 72 Monte Carlo Rally. This is, of course, the kit that had all of the left-hand drive parts tooled up to replace the right-hand drive parts to do this rally that finished, I want to say, 3rd in this rally, which really isn't the point, but all of the left-hand drive parts that were tooled up for this rally, of course, are what begat us the Street 240Z that we've gotten in the last, year and a half, the blue car and then the yellow Mr. K car. And then lastly, this week, we're talking about a brand new tool from New Hobbies model kits, that is the Peugeot 306 Maxi. So yes, we finally have broken the iceberg once again over at New to get a kit out of the door that is a brand new tool. This represents the 1996 Monte Carlo Rally. Looks like there's going to be at least 3 or 4 aftermarket liveries from Renaissance and Rege models, possibly also Deco costs, that are specific for the 306 Maxi. There is an Evo 1 and an Evo 2 body kit to these as time went along, so make sure if you're buying aftermarket decals, you're buying the right aftermarket decals. This is just the baseline 306 Maxi. It's not the Evo 1, Evo 2, although you can kind of probably see where this kit's going to go over the course of time. Curbside looks pretty decent. All things being said and done, it looks like a 306 Maxi. this was sort of an odd sort of kit car thing that Group A was in Rally. I'm still not sure I've had my entire mind wrapped around exactly what it is that the kit car is behind. It seems to be sort of a universal chassis that other bodies can be put onto. If that's not technically correct, then excoriate me in the comment section, I guess. But yeah, brand new tool, so that's out. That was a new release, but it was a BMAX kit when it was announced like 2.5 years ago. And then also there is a PE detail upset for it, sold separately. And in this, you get, of course, the PE. You get an air jack connector. You get an antenna, the seatbelt material for the seats. Also, you get a carbon fiber detail set and decal set for this. It has manufacturer's labels for the seat belts, which for some reason those never put in the kit. There must be a licensing thing there. Some fiberglass, carbon fiber, if you will, the yellow stuff for the seats, and then some actual carbon fiber for other parts of the interior, along with a much more detailed, I think it must have some actual like sponsor or manufacturer livery onto it, because there's also something very similar on the actual decal sheet for the center console, where all of the buttons and radios, buttons, and kill switches and stuff like that go. So it's a pretty robust PE set for what it is, with the extra decals and all that stuff. Probably definitely something you want to look into purchasing if you do get the kit, because it does supplement a few things. You don't have to go buy your own yellow twill carbon fiber. You don't have to buy your own other carbon fiber. It probably doesn't carbon fiber enough for the whole car, but certainly carbon fiber is the important parts inside that you'll be able to see through those big windows of it being a two-door hatchback the way it is. So that, guys, wraps up, if I can find the right button to get me back to myself on camera here, wraps up this week. We hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.